With this edition of 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage, I'm starting a series that I call Marriage Killers. I'm quite sure that nobody who gets married really wants to kill their marriage because there's so much that's good about it. After all, we get married to help enhance our happiness and our well-being in life. Nevertheless, there are things that we can do, attitudes that we can have that will kill our marriages. Understand also that the death of a marriage doesn't happen in a moment. It usually happens because of a process, and the process happens because of attitudes or ways of looking at life and each other that we carry inside of ourselves. In this first marriage killer talk, I want to talk about the killer called discontentment. Discontentment. I want to tell you a story about someone that we know about in the country where we live that had a major problem with this. A husband called me one day and he said, "Mike, I need to talk to you about my marriage." I said, "Sure, what's going on?" He said, well, I'm not very happy as a husband." And I said, "Well, why? What's happening?" He said, "Well, my wife demands that I buy her flowers." Now that's a warning signal already, because flowers are an expression of affection. And for a wife to demand flowers means that she's taking the right away from her husband to just do it because he wants to. And I said, "So, well, what did you do?" He said, "I bought her some flowers." I said, "What did you buy her?" He said, "I bought her 12 yellow roses." Now, you'd think that the wife would be very happy with something as extravagant as 12 long-stem yellow roses, but she wasn't. She was discontented with his gift of love. She found fault with it. She said, "Why did you buy me yellow roses? Yellow roses are for friendship. Red roses mean love." So in one short sentence, she, because of her discontentment, robbed her husband of feeling as though he could ever make her feel special. That's what discontentment does. Now, here's what it looks like. The discontented person is seldom satisfied. They never can seem to get enough. So no matter what their partner does, it isn't done quite right. It isn't quite enough. They always find something else that they need, that they have to have. I know a marriage that died after 17 years because one of the partners in that marriage was never satisfied. And the other partner could never do enough to make that partner happy. They're seldom satisfied. And then people who are infected with this marriage killer called discontent are problem-centered. They don't see any of the good, no matter how much good there is. They're always finding one more thing to complain about. There's one more thing that's wrong, one more thing that isn't done well enough. So not only are they seldom satisfied, they're also problem-centered. What does that do to their husband or wife? Makes them feel hopeless. Because how can you stay in a marriage with somebody who never sees anything good happening, no matter how hard you try to make it happen? And the third one is negative speech. When people are infected with discontent, it's like a bitter root inside of them that creates words that are negative. And they say things like, "You always, you never, why don't you, why couldn't you, you didn't do it right, no, that isn't what I want." Those kinds of words heard over a period of time will cause great discouragement and sometimes will lead a person to look for some sort of fulfillment somewhere else. It really is a marriage killer, this discontentment. And these people who are infected with discontentment rarely give thanks for anything. Put it all together, and this is the message they're sending to the person they're married to. You will never make me happy. You will never make me happy. Now, how do you get over this process of discontent? I'd start with asking God to help you see that you're doing it. And then I would ask you to ask God to help you to find contentment and look for the things that are good and the positive. Remember that every day there's something that you can see that is good, and be thankful for that to God and to the person you're married to. Now, in the next few series, we'll talk about some other marriage killers. But for today, would you make it your goal to stop this marriage killer called discontentment? This is Mike Constantine, and this is 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage. John Gottman calls the enemies of marriage the four horsemen. And to see what he has to say about that, go to the YouTube video that you see on this screen. You can get there by the QR code or by the URL. Thanks for watching 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage.